Hello there and welcome. This is Mikhail or Michael speaking. As always, I salute to those who decided to support me financially, be it through PayPal, Super Thanks, or Patreon. I really appreciate it, and I wish you have a blessed day. As you can see today, I am using a different map, which to me is more convenient to use. Now, be advised that this is a pro-Russian map, and I will switch from maps to prove some of my points. And anyway, let's get straight to it. Today, interesting news are coming from Vremivka tactical bridgehead, which is located here. As a result of offensive operations, Ukrainians were able to successfully attack Russians on this bridgehead. This was the situation of yesterday, and now this is the situation of today. As you can see, the settlement of Neskuchne and Blagodatne was lost by the Russians. Pro-Ukrainian sources are claiming that Neskuchne and Blagodatne have came under Ukrainian control. More neutral and Russian sources are claiming that Blagodatne and Neskuchne became a gray zone. If you remember yesterday, I reported of a successful Ukrainian attack here in this general direction of the settlement of Neskuchne, with Russians losing tactical height located here. I also said that because of that, Ukrainians will have full fire control over Neskuchne and Blagodatne. Then Ukrainians launched attack from Zlotaniva. At first, they attacked towards Novodonetsk in attempt to paralyze Russian troops in this sector, and then advanced here across the open fields. As a result of those two attacks from both directions, Russians left Neskuchne and Blagodatne without a fight and retreated to a more stronger defensive positions. If we zoom in, we can see that there is a small settlement of Starozhove that is located very close to Blagodatne. And if we are to use topography map, once again we can see why Russians left Neskuchne, Blagodatne, and I would assume would soon leave Starozhove. As you can see, the Starozhove is now formed as a bridgehead that is way too dangerous to keep, as Ukrainians can attack. So I would assume that Starozhove would be left as well. This bridgehead is not convenient for the Russians to hold, again, mostly due to the fact that it is located in the lowlands. Overall, we can see why Ukrainians are not attacking those settlements head-on, but in fact are trying to go around by using open fields, also advancing here on the hill area. So the fights for these settlements were most likely take place here to its flanks, where it would be up to Russians to control the heights and the control of those heights. So as a result of those fighting, Russians have retreated to a more suitable, better positions. For example, taking positions here along this river, which will provide them with natural defense. But overall, it is safe to say that after 6 days of fighting, Ukrainians have finally made a significant breakthrough, which could be counted as their first tactical victory. Again, this is only tactical victory, not a strategic one. Now, from here, let's go quickly to the Arihiv front. Here, situation, as you can see by the map, did not change. Ukrainians were unable to penetrate initial Russian positions in front of Rabotine, as of time of recording, of course. If we look at the Arihiv weather forecast, we can see that there is going to be a lot of rains all throughout this week, so we could expect less attacks from Ukrainian forces on this front. This in a way proves that Ukrainians were unable to reach any of their goals here on this front. They were unable to make a significant breakthrough and move towards their, of course, main objective of Tokmak. Not only that, this unsuccessful attack have resulted in a great loss of tanks and armored personnel vehicles. For example, here for you I have a video of a Leopard 2 tank being destroyed. So Ukrainians are taking heavy losses here as they advance on the open fields. At this point in time, the intensity of the fighting had died down, and there is mostly artillery that is working from the both sides, so there are heavy artillery duels happening on this front as of right now. The fact that we see more modern Western tanks identified that Ukrainians did have their main direction of attack here in Arihiv, but once again, we see a proof that a tank is a tank, and it also can be destroyed. All throughout last few days, I've seen this rhetoric on the Ukrainian side of the political spectrum. Before that, they were claiming that with those tanks, they will be able to easily destroy Russians, and this is another thing that I find particularly interesting. There's an interesting premise on the pro-Ukrainian side. Well, at least it was before the counteroffensive, that only the successful Ukrainian counteroffensive is stopping Russian army from complete annihilation. And if Ukrainians would go into offensive, Russian army would be destroyed and routed immediately. Of course, this rhetoric strongly died down, as it did not reflect reality whatsoever. Again, Ukrainians most likely expected the same situation like in Kharkiv or Kherson, but now it is safe to say that Russian army is more prepared and better equipped. Then let's quickly visit the city of Lapkova, or to be more precise, the settlement of Lapkova. It's probably a village. As you can see, situation did not really change here, not for the lack of action. However, Ukrainians continued to attack towards its settlement. But again, Russians controlling the tactical heights did not allow them to advance anywhere whatsoever. Settlement of Lapkova is still located in the gray zone. There are some reports of Pitikhatki also becoming a gray zone, but this information is still need to be checked. Here situation is almost identical to the situation in Arihiv. With the bad weather, we might expect Ukrainians to attack less and less, at least until the weather gets better. And once again, all across this front line, there are ongoing artillery duels. Then there's interesting situation in the Novokakhovka dam that was neither destroyed or gave in due to the previous damage. I have a video for you of the aftermath. So as you can see, the water level has dropped significantly, and there is an interesting situation that is developing. So as you can see, this is the original river, and this entire reservoir is drying out. If we look here, this is where it's located. So with the river originally being like this entire sector is basically becoming a marshland, and when it dries up, Ukrainians could use platoon bridges and advance across dried up river. So again, this goes against the idea that Russians blew up the dam. As you could also see by the videos, most of the damage was done to the Russian controlled cities, or to be more precise, due to the close proximity of those cities to the frontline Russian strongholds. This flooding damaged Russians more than it damaged Ukrainians. So in conclusion, yes, Ukrainians were successful here in this sector. Some reports suggest that fighting is now taking place along this line, and Ukrainians are actively attacking in the direction of Staromaysky and Makirovka. However, those reports are vague and unclear. What is safe to say is that fighting in the Vremivka tactical bridgehead continues as of right now. Then there is also Ukrainian attempts to counterattack Russians here in Vodyane and Apitne. Those attempts were unsuccessful. Ukrainians also continued to harassing flanks of Bakhmut, attacking in the direction of Kurdyumovka and Klishevka from both sides, unsuccessful as of right now. There has been a long fight for the settlement of Bridgehead. Initially, again, Ukrainians were successful advancing towards it, but as recent reports suggested, Russians were able to counterattack them and regain some of the territories in front of the settlement. How much exactly is unclear, so we have to wait for more confirmation. And with that, I end today's video. If it was to your liking, please consider supporting it with a like, comment, and if you haven't subscribed, a subscription. This really helps to promote my videos to a wider audience and help spread the message. If you feel extra generous, please consider supporting me on Patreon, which will provide me with more financial stability and help me reach my goal of working on YouTube full-time. Thank you in advance. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day and always remember, Russia will be free and great.